were just talking about MSNBC and the wacky media. You know, they're making some changes there. They've got the spinoff coming, Spinco, right? Because the parent company Comcast doesn't want to have anything to do with these clowns over there. Certainly in the Morning Joe team is trying their best. They went down to Mar-a-Lago. They're trying to make amends with Donald Trump. They're at least trying to avoid a $16 million hit, right, to their salaries or to their bosses, because they're saying things, or guests are saying things on air that are not true. But it looks like some of their talent may not get their shows renewed, or if they do, they're going to have to take a really big pay cut. Oh, gee, that inflation hurts, doesn't it, Joy Reid? Okay, here we go. Here's the article that came out just a couple weeks ago in the, I think this was... It was either Raw Story or the Daily Beast. I think this one was actually the Daily Beast. Top MSNBC anchor Joy Reid offered pay cut to keep her job. Apparently another anchor as well is facing the threat of this, because you see, this is a company that's just struggling in multiple ways. They've completely eroded the public's trust. And Joy Reid had a rather bizarre reaction to one Mark Zuckerberg. Now, we can talk about Mark Zuckerberg. We have talked about Mark Zuckerberg. Do you believe him? Do you not believe him? Is he just a capitalist who's trying to make his way through the storm here, and so therefore wants to keep his company out of trouble, and that's why he's doing this? Is that why he took down Trump's page on Facebook before and then went after all of us, yours truly included, right, with nonsense, so that we couldn't have our pages seen or monetized? Apparently those days are over. He's making a big change. Here's Mark Zuckerberg in his own words. It's kind of long, so I'm not going to play all of it, but let's watch it together. And then you can see how freaked out Joy Reid is by this. I mean, she has a complete meltdown, this MSNBC lady.
But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes similar to X, starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse. What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now, we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high-severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filter...
Okay, so I'm like, what just happened? I'm waking up in an alternative universe. You don't understand, guys. I don't think we're live on Facebook right now. We're live on YouTube. We'll post this after on Facebook if they let us, okay? It has been a challenging 4 years, thank you very much, with Facebook. And I mean, I had things come back to me. I'd do a story on, say, tariffs. I mean, really kind of wonky, boring, economic stuff on tariffs. And the next thing you know, I'm being told that somehow this is a community violation. And I'm like, community violation? Somebody's feelings are hurt because I'm talking about the impact of tariffs on the economy? I mean, come on, right? Like, that's a new one. I mean, it was everyday something. And so I have like 270,000 people over there. And, good luck seeing my stuff. This is going to get me in trouble for sure. But I mean, I have been speechless. There have been times that I'd say to my kids, for goodness sakes, I feel like I'm in North Korea because I can't say what I think. I developed euphemisms. Like, I wouldn't even say COVID. I would just say March 2020. If you hear me say March 2020, you know what I'm talking about. So my thanks to everyone here at YouTube, because we have this freedom of speech. My thanks to everybody over at Rumble. Okay, Mark, you know what? I'm going to go with this. I love that you're suddenly passionately for free speech. I don't know if I believe that's where you actually are coming at. It may just be that you're a capitalist like any other. And so depending on which way the wind blows and who's in charge, you're willing to do whatever is needed. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth. So Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, Meta, thank you. You know what? As an investor in your company, and you know what? I bet you're an investor in their company too. If you have a 401k, I guarantee you're invested in their company because they're one of the big components there of the S&P 500. Think about Mag 7. Meta is one of them. So we want Meta to do well, all right? Because, that's a big portion of everybody's retirement. So it's good from a business standpoint. And so I commend him for that. Whether he personally believes any of this, I certainly have my doubts, but nonetheless, it's the right thing for the business and it's the right thing for our nation. We need to be able to have this freedom of expression, and you can't clamp down on people when they're curious about stuff and they want to discuss things. And sometimes the truth can be really ugly, all right? And getting to the truth can be really, really ugly, but we need to have the opportunity to get there in the first place. And he's learning a thing or two, if you would, from X and Elon Musk. But this terrifies the establishment media and the progressive elites like one Joy Reid, who's in jeopardy of losing her show or at the very least getting her salary cut at MSNBC. Look at her reaction. I want you to see this, to Zuckerberg saying, yeah, we're going to get rid of the fact checkers that, frankly, and having lived through this myself, I can tell you, we're not about checking facts, and we're entirely about shutting the system down. Now, whether or not he can manage this and deal with this, he's got a big organization, much like, say, a Disney, big, cumbersome organization. Reminds me of like GE. Before GE went really, really south, sometimes when these companies get too big, they have their problems. So we wish him well, but in the meantime, watch Joy.
Why would conservatives think fact-checking is biased against them? I mean, what are you sharing if you keep getting fact-checked for false information? Think about it. What were conservatives sharing on Meta that was getting flagged so much? Are they spreading false information? And why were they so eager? And why are Republicans in general so eager to end the idea of fact-checking? What are they trying to share? What is the motivation for not wanting it to be fact-checked?
Remember when there was that laptop from Hunter Biden and Republicans and conservatives and news organizations were saying this is authentic, this is real, and Hunter Biden has some major issues which actually could compromise his dad, who's running for the presidency of the United States of America? And remember when 51 ex-spooks came forward and said, no, nothing to see here. This is garbage. This is misinformation. And if you spread this misinformation, you're in trouble. Do you remember when the New York Post got its Twitter account shut down? Do you remember when my friends over at Babylon Bee, a comedic website, published a story about the spin machine at CNN, and it was a joke, and they had a washing machine as the picture? And somehow that was fake news, along with the New York Post and the Hunter Biden laptop. That was totally real. And the New York Post was correct on that. And the FBI knew it. And those people way high up, they knew it too. And yet they went with this, oh, it's just misinformation, disinformation. And Joy Reid, who calls herself a journalist, come on, doesn't want Republicans to be able to publish their side of the story. That's pretty alarming. That's pretty scary. So thank goodness Mark Zuckerberg is making this point. And whether or not he believes it, I don't even care. It's the right thing to do for the company. It's the right thing to do for the country. Now his challenge is going to be getting everybody in line, because it's a very large organization with a lot of people that have their own biases. And so it takes time to shift and change organizations like this. They were all in lockstep. And I don't know if he's going to be like Elon and come in and say, oh, I'm going to get rid of 80% of the company. It would be hard to do. It's publicly traded. I get it. But there will be changes. And it's a good thing. You know, we want changes. It's a new year. Change is good. If you have not thought about yourself and the changes that you're making, it's a good time to think about this stuff, right? We're into the new year, and one of the New Year's resolutions I made last year was to take my vitamins every day because, well, in the spirit of too much information, my vitamin D levels were actually quite low. And so I teamed up with Balance in Nature. They send it to my house every month. And so I get my fruits and veggies, my gummies. They're gluten-free for those of you that care. I don't, but I know a lot of people that do. So I mention it, I flag it, but these are my vitamins that I take every day, thanks to Balance in Nature. You can get 35% off right now. Just use code word Trish, my name, 35% off plus free shipping. You're helping the show and you're helping yourself. 1-800-246-8751. 1-800-246-8751 is their phone number. Again, it's balanceofnature.com. Use code word Trish. Put yourself first. It's such a good time to do something like that.